Hi, so, well, I put a poll on my community channel and I asked everyone on threads as well. And I asked, do you want to continue trying to do different openings? And the people have spoken. Oh, I don't know, about 10 of you. And you said you want me to keep on saying, hi, so, that's what we've got. Fuck. Maybe I should just start with that and just go, oh, fuck. Anyway, hi, so. This is my kind of weekly comic haul plus review show. So quite a pile today. Some of these came this week, but they're from last week and from last month as well. Um, Basic reason, one of the comics I got online was because it was a variant cover I wanted because I hate Greg Land, and I just found his covers, his interior artwork just so derivative, and you can tell he's just copied photographs, so static and unnatural. He did a Spider-Man kind of comic recently, kind of like a black suit one, where Peter Parker's got chains coming, holding these chains, and it's just weird. No, I don't like him. It's just plasticky. So, long story, very short, is to say I picked up X Factor online because I wanted this like homage cover to Havoc. I just love Havoc's one of my favourite mutant characters. I just love the design of his costume. More on the visual aspects, I just think it's really stunning the way they display his powers. So yeah, so this is X Factor. It's written by Mark Russell. That's the main reason I bought it. And artist Bob Quinn. The artwork is very clean. It's just very. I don't think the artwork's that spectacular. It's just good artwork. In a way, it reminds me of DC in the 80s and early 90s. They had some artists who were just very, very mid. They were good, kind of like what you call workmanlike, where there's nothing outstanding, but they were dependable. And I feel like that's the vibe I'm getting with Bob Quinn on X Factor. People like Kerry Gamble, Paul Pelletier, people like that, just they just did the job. And this is what I feel with this. It's pleasant. But there's nothing that makes me think, wow, I'm definitely not buying this for the art. I am buying it for the writer. The writing is great and the team is great. I think it was on Pop Culture Philosophers. Rock and Robbie said it had a feel like of ecstatics and things like that. No, it's not. It's very. It reminds me a bit of the humour that was in X Factor by when Peter David was on it. So basically, this is a a mutant team out for clicks for public recognition. So it's very much like this guy who's got connections to all types of things. He's like a media guru, and he wants to put a positive spin on the mutants. So he wants to resurrect X Factor, but make it a mutant team for the people for non-mutants. So it initially gets Warren Worthington and these other people on the team, and things happen. They go on this mission. Things happen. I can't say they come out of the mission unscathed. So they Havoc comes in and a few others, and again I can't show you because you need to read it because I don't want to ruin the lineup. The lineup's really fun on the second. There's a rejig in the lineup, put it that way. But yeah, so this is very much a media focused mutant team. They're out for the clicks on TikTok and Instagram, things like that. They want to make them popular so they can get sponsorship deals, so they can get different jobs where they're getting in the money instead of just doing it for the sake of doing it. Yeah, it's a fresh take. It's got Mark Russell. Mark Russell's got where he treads very clever fine line between comedy and drama and political satire, or just commenting on the way the world is today. And he's brought that into a mutant comic, so it's a fresh take on X Factor. Like I said, artwork, it's okay. If Mark Russell wasn't writing it, I wouldn't be buying it because the artwork does nothing for me at all. It's just work. It's just okay. Colouring's fine. Yeah, but it's the story, it's the dialogue, it's the interaction between the characters. Mark Russell writes good comics, and this is a good well written comic. So storyline, I'd give it 8 out of 10. Artwork, 5.5, 6 out of 10. So round it off, 7.5 out of 10. But I will come back for the second issue to see what happens. And another one I got online was Night Watch. This was a complete blind buy. I enjoyed the relaunch of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with Jason Aaron on the writing. And this one, what made me pick it up, because I didn't realise who was writing it, is Junibar, the writer and artist on the Boy Wonder Dark Black Label series. So I thought, oh, give it a try. And I'm so glad I did. So there's this vigilante who's protecting the people of Mutant Town. The artwork is lovely. The artwork's by Ferro Pair. Never heard of them before, but it's got a nice indie feel. And it's fun. It's a fun take on the vigilante superhero from the Turtle universe's perspective. It's got a great reveal of who it is. I knew who it was, kind of thing, but some of you might not. So I kind of worked it out quite early on, but it didn't dilute the enjoyment of the story. Junibar writes good, quick-paced, modern action comics. It's got a very modern sensibility. It's not got your classic like Mark Waid kind of way of writing a superhero comic. It's not even urban. It's just current. It's got a very current flavour. The artwork matches perfectly with the storyline. And again, I can't show you much because there's a lot of reveals in it. I would give this an 8 out of 10 for the art and the story. I'd like to say I'm going to carry on with it, but I don't know. There's just so much stuff coming out. And sometimes I've tried this week what I've really enjoyed, what I didn't think I'd try and enjoy, so which you'll see in a bit. So yeah, but it's good. If you've got room in your budget, I do recommend trying this. I am carrying on with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I don't know if I can get all the spin-off titles. I might just get this either digitally going forward or in collected edition. But a very good read. And one that I forgot to come out, so I just thought I'd better order it. So, because if you buy 5 online with this company that I deal with, you get quite a good discount on it. So I forgot I didn't have this. So it's book 3 of Deadpool and Wolverine WW3. Artwork is spectacular. Nothing I don't like. I hate it when they get clever with layouts where you can't just read a comic like this. I hate having to do all that. I don't mind double spreads like this. The art by Adam Kubert is beautiful. He is, I'd say, one of my, if not my favourite Wolverine artist. I mean, when you compare it to, say, this art from Wolverine, which is the new team of Wolverine, it just feels vibrant, it feels energy. That feels static. It just feels meh. I mean, that compared to 2 covers, that is so full of energy and life. And his layouts and panel work is just so good. And Joe Kelly, I forgot how good a writer Joe Kelly is. That's gorgeous. It's wonderful. Joe Kelly gets the voice of Deadpool. We're coming back to Deadpool again in a bit as well. But the colouring works, everything works. It's just a near perfect action comic. 3 issues, 3 undone. And it's a satisfying read. I'm not that divested in a lot of modern Marvel, but I understood enough of what was going on. I do wish this was the new team on the soon to be released Wolverine comic. I really do, because I think they've got a good voice. I don't like how Marvel just keep on looking for, I don't know if it costs them less to pay them, look for younger teams. It doesn't always mean they're going to create a better comic, and most of the time they're not. Because these two are at the top of craft writing and art. And it's wonderful. Yeah, 9 out of 10. Really enjoyed that miniseries. If you've not bought it, either track down the issues or wait for the trade. But knowing Marvel, the trades could be really expensive. And we're still in with the ones that I ordered online, but I'm going to put a comic with it from this week's pal, and you'll realise why in a minute. And this is Deadpool. So, what's going on, Mandy? I don't buy Marvel much at all, but I've got X Factor, I've got Deadpool and Wolverine, and now I've bought issue 3. Love that cover. Issue 4, and then this week, issue 5 of Deadpool. If you remember, I reviewed 1 and 2 a while ago, and I enjoyed them, but I said I didn't know if I want to carry on with it. I want to give it a few. I want to see how it. I'll just wait for a bit, see if it continues with the same art team, same writer, etc. So I've let it sit on the shelves, and I've just popped whenever I've been buying my comics. I've just kind of like flicked through. Oh, it looks interesting. And so last week I thought, because I went to see the Deadpool and Wolverine film and really enjoyed that, and it got me yearning for a bit of Deadpool because I did enjoy the comic because I'm one of the least. I don't know Deadpool. I don't really read Deadpool. I don't rate Deadpool because he always came across too forced the humour. Not like, say, something like DC's just JLA, where the humour was pitch perfect and just so clever. It just felt like let's just be zany. But Cody Ziegler has managed to do it. He's managed to get humour in and sometimes break the fourth wall, but not where he's hitting you over the head with it, like with a sledgehammer. Like, and okay, we get it. It's subtle. It's more makes you grin instead of laughing out loud. There's a few panels where I actually have laughed as well, which is good. But apart from that, which sometimes is lacking in a Deadpool comic, there's a good plot line going on, and he delves into Deadpool's backstory much more and into his family life, and which I've never seen before. Deadpool being a parent, and it makes me like Deadpool, and I don't like Deadpool, so he's done a good job, and the art's okay. I find it more enjoyable than the art on X Factor. It's quite similar, but there's an energy to it which is lacking in the X Factor one. So, yeah, I'm not a Deadpool fan, and it's converted me to. This has gone on my pull list now, so I'm carrying on with Deadpool, which I've never ever done. I've bought one or two issues in the past, and that's it. I've dropped it. Fuck that. But Joe Kelly's never converted me. Kelly Thompson's never converted me. A lot of the other writers who've been on, they've never done anything for me, but Cody Ziegler, it's Cody Ziegler, isn't it? Yeah, Cody Ziegler, perfect voice for Deadpool. I hope they stay on for a long time. It's finished on a very interesting page. I love as well what I like about this as well. They've not because it's become a tie trope now. It's fun, but it's a tie trope pairing Deadpool with Wolverine. But him with Taskmaster, it's a perfect fit. It's a bromance that works. It's an odd couple that works because they kind of like each other at the same time, and it's just fun. And I love how they brought his daughter in now, and how they're fleshing out her story. Because obviously, if you've been reading previews or just been looking online, this comic's going to be changing very soon in the next few months. And I'm quite interested to see what happened. Whereas before I was quite cynical, thinking, nah, it's cashing. So, and I think it's quite a brave move, especially with the release of the movie. So yeah, I'm a Deadpool fangirl now. So I'll give this 8 out of 10, and it's on my pull list. So that says it all, really. But that's not the only Marvel comics I've been buying this week as well as last week. I do slag off Marvel because I do slag them off and rip them apart when I think they deserve it. More for the business practices, the price points, and just their apathy towards the fans. I think they need to have better creative teams on a lot of the comics, but there is a few gems within the pile of shit of a lot of their titles. And one of the gems, which blew me away, but I was always thinking I might try this, but I want to see again, give it a few issues on the shelf to see before I make the plunge. And that's Namor by Jason Aaron, and the art is by. Oh, I hate this with a lot of comics now where you can't find the credits. Art by Paul Davidson and Alex Lins, and colour is by Mira Menon, letterer Joe Caramanga. The reason I'm mentioning all of these is they all do a fantastic stellar job. I love Jason Aaron. I don't like him when he's on a long running title because I feel like it can feel like he's flogging a dead horse sometimes, like with Avengers. But I'm loving Batman Offworld. I'm really enjoying Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think it's when he's got a big team book he loses himself. When he can focus on just a few individuals, it works. And this, I've liked Namor when he was with the Invaders. Liked his appearances in Fantastic Four, but I've not liked a lot. The last time I really enjoyed a Namor book was on John Byrne's run. So what was that, the 90s? But since then, I've not really liked him. I didn't like how they just made him another bland when they just made him like a mutant and an X-Men, they didn't make him special. Yeah, he's a mutant, but he's the king of Atlantis. That's what makes Aquaman so special in DC. He rules the waves, and this is what they've done with this. It's brought back the savage submariner, submariner. I'm English, submariner. And oh, the art is amazing. So the opening scene, he's arrested, but he's allowed himself to be arrested willingly. There's some great interplay with that, and look at the colour. And then he does a flashback to his childhood, and the colour palette of the colorist is just so perfect for the underwater scenes and for the scenes on land as well. And sometimes when a comic has quite a lot of flashback, I lose interest, but it had me enthralled in the flashbacks as well as current ones. And I love that. That's very, very Joe Kubert's in the inking style. So I don't know who does the penciling and who does the inking with these two artists, or if it's just switched backwards and forwards, but it's my favourite interpretation I've seen of Namor in a long, long time. I like how he's got this lean quality. I like the slightly bedraggled look that they've given him. So because he's refusing to act on his natural instincts, so he's not allowing himself to be the savage submariner anymore. So he doesn't want to get water on him, so he doesn't have his powers to the max and things like that. He's trying to change his ways, and it's just fascinating. I love the dialogue's not overly verbose, but it paints in a struggle he's got with himself, trying to fight his natural instincts, and it's made me love Namor. It's made him a fascinating character because I've always been much more Team Aquaman, but this for my mind, this comic has put him on a level pegging with Aquaman now, which is high praise because I know DC Patrol watches my videos, and I do like Aquaman. I've read a lot of Aquaman comics. You're not the only one, and I do think this is doing Namor an equal amount of justice to say what Peter David did and Jeff Johns did with Aquaman. Gorgeous cover, and the second one as well, amazing cover. The art doesn't let up. I think it's going to be an 8-issue series. And another thing which is unusual for a Marvel comic. Oh yeah, so it goes on about politics in Atlantis as well, which was fascinating. Normally you switch off and stuff like that, but it had me all the way, and it just developed and built on the lore of Namor. You're all going to correct me in the comments anyway, because that's what comic geeks do. Well, actually, it should be this. I mean, just look at that. Water is hard to draw. I used to try and be a comic artist when I was younger, and water is fucking hard to draw, and that is amazing. But yeah, there's an amazing cast who I didn't know about before, and I'm invested in their lives as well and their backstory. And again, not showing the back page because there's a great reveal at the end. I kind of suspected it, but when it happened, it wasn't. I was like, I knew it. It's like yes, kind of thing, because I wanted that to happen. But yeah, it's again, this has gone on my pull list. Now it's $4.99, but I don't know what's going on with Marvel, but they've actually valued a comic really fairly because it's $4.99, but each issue has been 29 to 30 pages of story, so I'm not complaining. And then, this is quite a controversial one if you've been following internet news about comic news, but I like Stephanie Phillips, so I've not bought this for the character. I bought this because I want to see what Stephanie Phillips was like on a Marvel comic. I like her as a writer. I loved her on Harley Quinn. I love the Boom series Grimm, which I get in collected editions. That's why you've never seen me review the comic. Yeah, I rate her. She's a really, really strong writer. So she's doing Phoenix. I'm trying out most of the X-Men titles. The only one I've not picked up is NYX. I don't like the writers on it, and I've not heard such great reviews from a lot of people, so I'm not even going to bother, save myself some money. But I thought I'd give this a try. Yes, there's controversy. The art's pleasing, very pleasing to the eye, but you can tell he's swiped. But I'm not going to get myself. You could go down a rabbit hole with that. I'm reading it more for the story, but the art is pleasing. I don't know where he's swiped, but I've seen examples online. But I've not read a lot of Marvel, a lot of modern Marvel from like 20. I'd say my fallow ground for Marvel is 2012 to 2022. I don't know much apart from the Hoxpox and things like that, but apart from that, not much. Um, so I couldn't say who he'd stole it from, but so I'm enjoying the artwork as well. But it's Stephanie Phillips. I love her writing. But what made me buy this? I was like this looking at the shelves because they had issue 2 of this out. So I was looking at that, and I was also looking at the Wolverine Revenge by Jonathan Hickman and Greg Pillow, the Red Band comic. Look, I flick through it, and then I'll flick through this, flick through that, flick through this, flick through that. Then I was started reading this for okay. So I went found that they had issue 1 as well. So I thought, right, okay, that's a sign. So I bought these and put that one back. The reason being, the Wolverine Revenge, beautiful artwork, gorgeous, gorgeous artwork, but it's just fan service. It's an unnecessary story. But you can say that about a lot of comics, but I'm not the biggest Hickman fan, and I read a few of the pages and I'm thinking, no, he leaves me cold. He just doesn't do anything for me. The art's beautiful. If I want to buy it, I'll either get it digitally in the future or buy the collected edition from Amazon or from Comic Shop or whatever. Because my shop does 3 for 2 on graphic novels, so I can wait. I'm not desperate for it. Yeah, Capullo, amazing artist, but there's a lot of great artists. But I've got to have good stories while what I enjoy. I'm not one of those people who just buy a comic because it's got good art. It's got to have a good story as well. I've got to have equal footing. And in some ways, I guess, can levitate more. I can gravitate more towards having a comic which has got a good writer and a mediocre artist, like say for example X Factor, rather than the other way around. So yeah, so what I like about this, and this is what made me pick it up instead of Wolverine, they're doing something new with Phoenix. Yeah, she's been in space before, but they've not kept her in space. So this is X-Men Cosmic. So it's a great mashup of the X-Men universe and the Marvel Cosmic sagas, and I'm all for it because I love one thing Marvel does really well, what they've not done enough of recently, apart from fucking annoying spin-offs, not spin-offs but events. I hate event comics. I like Absolute Power, but there's not many that I like. But I love Marvel Cosmic. I used to love the old Silver Surfer comic from the 80s and 90s. I love Guardians of the Galaxy, things like that. And this is what they're doing with this, so I'm all for it. Got Corsair in. They're bringing in lots of things from like Fantasy's universe titles. So there's lots of the Nova Corps are in, and things like that. So I'm happy. I'm really happy, and I like how they've. I like how by moving away from the X-Men, they're giving Jean a voice, because I feel like she's always been overshadowed. They've always just viewed her as like Scott Summers' girlfriend is really powerful, but there's more to it than that. And Stephanie doing some really interesting story. She's given a really interesting voice to Jean. You know, she shows you how she's thinking and stuff, and like insights. Well, you don't. I never thought about that. Jean doesn't need to eat or drink or anything like that. I think, oh, okay. And so I started pondering about that. I think, wow, that okay. But there's just little things what she's put in the story. What I just think that's really clever. Very subtle but very clever. So I enjoy this. So I'm going to give this a 7.5 out of 10. And I'm not putting it on my pull list. I want to see. I'm going to look at the issue on the shelf and see if I'm going to decide. But I was very, very pleasantly surprised. So there's more Marvel this week. I've only got one DC comic. It's just the way it's fallen this week. But this is what I'm saying. I might give Marvel a hard time. But that's when I think they deserve it. But if they do something good, I'll sing the praises as well. I hate those that just bash companies for bashing's sake. So there we go. I just thought I'd give a bit of positivity to Marvel. So now we're moving on to DC, and like I said, it's just one title this week. There's a lot more next week, trust me. But it's amazing. Superman number 17, Absolute Power tie-in. So Superman, if you've been following Absolute Power in his own titles, he's depowered at the moment. All the heroes are with Absolute Power, and so he's gone on this journey with Satana. Oh, by the way, Al Williamson. They've not resurrected him. Joshua Williamson on script, and Jamal Campbell's returned, doing his normal God's artwork with the cover, the interiors, just beautiful, beautiful artwork. This is the difference at the moment between DC and Marvel. DC have better writers and artists on their books. They're not just pushing books out for the sake of it. They're making sure they've got the team on and then they release the books. Marvel, do that right. The Marvel, I think, are doing it right now with the X titles and the Ultimate titles. But from what I've given up on the Ultimate titles because they just went too slowly for me. Spike, get those trade, read. But the rest of the stuff, what's going on, Marvel? Come on. But anyway, I'm digressing. So yeah, so this is a really good tie-in to the Absolute Power storyline. So it's basically Superman trying to find a way to get his powers back. So Santa's seeing if he can do it magically. And so they meet up with other magic folk, other ones from the DC magic folk community, and there's some interesting explain. It shows you what makes Superman super isn't his powers; it's his personality, and he gives a fantastic speech in here. And again, I can't show the end page because there's a great reveal, and it made me laugh out loud. Just the dialogue, because when I started to turn the page, because one of those pages where you hear somebody speak but you don't know it is until you turn the page. And I just laughed at, oh, brilliant. So I'm all for it. I love this. Great comic. 9 out of 10. It's one of the best superhero comics on the stands. What I loved about this, I don't know if anybody else has noticed, you know how what really nice about Marvel. I'm going to balance it out. I'm going to give Marvel a bit of bashing now, but like I said, this is more their business practice. I hate how they have all the ads, because the ads break up the story really badly, how they have it. This, all the adverts are in the back. I don't know if this is ongoing now with DC, but brilliant. So the story just flowed so well, there's no interruption, and all the ads were tidily just in the back. If Image can do it, if DC can do it, Marvel, you could do it as well. So yeah, 9 out of 10. So now we move on. It's quite an... There's more Marvel comics this week than any other company. In fact, all the rest are just individual ones from different companies. So we'll start with Image. Always consistently good quality. Ghost Machine Universe, the Unnamed Universe, and this is Redcoat, number 5, by Jeff Johns on writing. Great, always have really dynamic covers. So this is number 5 by Andrew Curry and Brian Hitch. Jeff Johns and Brian Hitch doing the storytelling. Brian Hitch doing the penciling. Andrew Curry and Brian Hitch doing the inking, and Brad Anderson is doing the colouring, and Rob Lee on the artwork, on the lettering. It's quite quite a lot of verbiage in this issue. So it's much more an issue where they're just going more into what's been happening and what is going to happen and who's who and what. So there's still action in it, which is what I like about it. It's not like, this is what put me off Ultimate Spider-Man, it's just talking heads all the way through. Look, we're having soup, and remember, with each spoonful of soup comes great responsibility. But this still manages to have it so you got your action, and then you got you basically you like your info dumps, but in a very naturalistic, conversational way, and even like, so it's like you're reading a film in a way. It's good. The art's perfect. The art's beautiful. The coloring's top rate. It is the weakest, I'd say, out of the whole of the Ghost Machine range of titles, but it's still head and shoulders over a lot of the mainstream titles in DC in it and Marvel. And there's a great twist at the end. Again, so I can't show the end of this one either. There's a lot of twists in this comic. So I give this, I think there's been a dip in storytelling in this one compared to last month, so I give this a 7 out of 10. It is the weakest out of the whole Ghost Machine ones, but it's still very, very enjoyable, very high quality. And I think next issue will definitely pull it up with how they've left it this month. So yeah, it's still fun. It's not it's not a superhero comic, so if you're not into comics that aren't superheroes or that are more like into world building, you won't like this. But for me, this ticks the box because I love that. My sweet spot was the 80s when you had Vertigo, the late 80s, early 90s when you had Vertigo, Eclipse, First, Comico and companies like that, where they did things just different, and Dark Horse, where they did things like just slightly different from the superhero universes. And that's what I get with this. So still enjoying it, but like I said, the weakest issue so far, 7 out of 10. And then next up, we are continuing on with the relaunch of EC via Oni, and this is Epitaphs from the Abyss, number 2. And there's 3 stories in it this time, so I think there's 20. I counted there's about 25 stories, story pages. So you have one. First story is Pattern Recognition by Matt Kint, art by Klaus Janson. Grey Green Memories by Tyler Crook, and Sounds and Haptics by Jason Aaron and Jorge Fornes. And Lee Bameko on the cover. Cover is amazing. I like how they got the big lettering and then just the image underneath. I also like how they do. I said this last time. How Richard Starkins is doing the lettering in the classic EC style of lettering. So the first one is basically a short story about very like a moralistic story about this group of basically not what is it, MAGA incel kind of group of people who hate everybody who's not like them, going around hitting anybody who's of a different skin tone, different sexuality, etc. And it shows how they get through the comeuppance, but not through how you expect. It's through one of the... Anyway, I don't want to give it away. So that's by Klaus Johnson. Great colouring and artwork as per usual. This one was really interesting. Grey Green Memories by Tyler Crook. Again, really beautiful artwork. I think the artwork's definitely improved this issue. But I don't know if the stories are as good, to be honest. Some of them are good. The Tyler Crook one, the artwork was fun. I love this, but it was a very slight story. But EC was like that. You had some bangers and then you had some where the art was pretty and the story was slight. So it's the nature of the beast with an anthology. But my favourite one was Sounds and Haptics by... who was it again? Jorge Fornes on art and Jason Aaron writing. Again, can't say much about this one. Basically, a guy gets in an accident and he recovers in what he thinks is a hospital. But obviously, being EC, nothing's as it seems. And I can't show you much. So I'll show you that page. Because if I show you much more, it'll ruin the surprise, the shock punches of the story. So that was the strongest one for me. But I'm still enjoying it. So around, I'd say 7 out of 10. But yeah, I'm in it for the long haul. Really enjoying it. I love anthology comics, so I'm really enjoying that. It's ticking my sweet spots. So these are some heavy hitters coming up now. Next up is Conan Barbarian number 14. I didn't choose this cover. This is in my pull box, but I like all the covers that what they had, so I'm not bothered. And again, for me, it's more unless it was a Greg Land cover, then I'd say, "What are you doing to me?" But yeah, so those are the alternative covers. So it's continuing this story of a slightly younger Conan, where he's in like this like an Arctic area. So I think it's almost like this group of Vikings who meets up with, and he basically assists them for it. They give him rites of passage, so he helps them out for a bit. Something happens. There's a big kerfuffle, a bit more than a kerfuffle. There's kerfuffle, but with swords and axes and bows and arrows and stuff. The artwork by Doug Braithwaite and the colouring by anyway, the colouring's really nice as well. But Doug Braithwaite's doing amazing work in this. This battle scene is just jaw-droppingly good. The detail and the sense of flow and just visceral action is just amazing. And again, really good reveal on the last page, but again, I can't show it you. So it's continuing on this story. I know what it's referencing because I've loved Conan since I was a young kid. Since about 7 or 8, I think I read my first Conan comic and I got into the books. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this. 9 out of 10, consistently good comic. If you've not been buying Conan, it's get the trade collections, get the magazine. There's only been about 3 or 4 issues of Savage Sword of Conan, and they're all really good fun, really good sword and sorcery comics. And then next up, Paranoid Gardens. I'm just going quiet then because every time I look at Chris Weston's artwork, he just takes my breath away. He's just so detailed. He's Brian Bolland level of detail in his artwork. I'm a big fan of his because he did a lot of Grant Morrison stuff for Vertigo and DC, but more, and he's done some stuff for Marvel, but more I'm a big fan of his stuff, what he's done on 2000 AD more than anything. And he still does a lot of strips for 2000 AD. So if you're not been reading 2000 AD, you're missing out on art like this. But I'm just trying to work out in my head how to describe this comic. Stuff happens. Stuff happens in this comic. It's trippy, it's weird, but it's charmingly weird. It's got that. It gives me that. It's so easy to use. You say, "Oh, it's like Grant Morrison." What I would say actually, it's David Lynch with the vibe of The Prisoner. Because I used to love when I was a kid. I used to love watching The Prisoner or The Avengers, but I had never had a clue what was going on. And this is the kind of vibe I get with this. But I have a feeling it's going to make some kind of wacky, weird sense by the fourth issue. But even though I don't know what's going on, I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. I'm loving the characters, even though I hardly know what's going on with the characters. This weird shit happens, cool shit happens, fucking great art. Just buy the comic. That's all I can say. It's a trip, and I love that it's like that. I miss having. I am going to use Grant Morrison now. I miss stuff like The Filth and Invisibles, comics that made your mind just go a bit as you're reading them. That's what it does. It fucks with your mind in a good way. 9 out of 10. Wonderful comic. This is a comic I got because there's been a bit of buzz on different channels on YouTube. So I thought, I'll give this a try. And the thing that cemented it for me, one of my local comic shops, they had a 20%. They had a birthday sale, so 20% off everything in the shop. So I got a bunch of comics from there. And one of them I got was this because it had a really cool variant cover. This is my cover of the week. I just love the retro pulp flavour of it. So this is Huge Detective. I think it's an Australian team who's doing this comic because it is set in Australia. The artwork is unique. I like it. It's scratchy. It's got almost like a Jeff Lemire kind of flavour to it, but not at the same time because then it tightens up. I've never read a comic like this in my life, to be honest, and that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. In a way, I could see this fitting in perfectly with 2000 AD because 2000 AD does that when he just throws shit to the wall. What you think that can't work, surely, and next thing you're obsessed about the guy who looks like a devil who's fighting the Catholic Church, Nemesis the Warlock. And it's the same kind of vibe. You get this. It's called Huge Detective. Basically, years and years ago, it's if you imagine the Attack on Titan where they've got these are like Titans but even bigger, and they just turn up in Australia. They end up about 40 years ago. They end up in Australia, and there's this kind of like uneasy alliance that suddenly settles with humanity and these with the Huge, just called the Huge. So like, there's a picture of one of them just carrying a ship on its shoulder, just perched on its shoulder because it's so big. So people like have this uneasy alliance where the Huge do favours for humanity and humanity provides them different things. And so what happens with this story? There's a guy who's imprisoned who's committed this hideous crime, but he's convinced he's convinced that he is a Huge. He's this massive giant, and he's not. He's just a normal 5'7", 5'8" guy. But people have got to play to his delusions, so they can get the truth of what's happened with this murder. But he won't speak to anybody. So what they have to do, they reach out to the Huge community, and they hire this guy to help them. So he's a Huge detective, hence the title. Honestly, there's been a few comics this week where my head's just kind of go, but again, in a really good way. I love this comic. It's like, so basically humanity's like Lilliput and he's like Gulliver. But yeah, it's fantasy, it's sci-fi, but more than anything, it's a whodunit. It's a detective comic, a pure, plain and simple detective comic. And I forgot about all the lore of the Huge and that lot, and I was invested in the mystery of how they're going to find out how he's done it, what the clues and stuff like that. So you find yourself, so that's good writing. You're finding yourself invested in the mystery of the story, I really enjoy this. 9 out of 10. So I think this might be going on my pull list, and I can't. I shouldn't have tried this. I really should not have tried this. I can't afford to get more comics because there's lots of good shit coming out soon, especially from Ghost Machine and especially from DC and from Oni as well. And it's a good time to be a comic reader, but it's a fucking expensive time. I need to be a responsible adult, but I'm 55 now, so I think I've left it too late for that. And so yeah, so it's been a week of comics. God, I mean, 40 minutes I've been speaking for, so and that's just about comics. I've not even gone off a little bit of tangent, but smidge, but not much. So yeah, so that's it. I might do another video later because I've got about 2 months worth of 2000 ADs to look at. I'll see how I feel because this has been long, long, long. So hope everybody's having a nice weekend. Us in the UK, we've got an extra day off tomorrow. Yay! So yeah, but the weather is terrible, and I'm skinned, so don't get. What I hate, this is again a tangent. My wage doesn't come in until like Wednesday or Thursday this week, so I'm like, no. So there we go. At least I could get my comics. Comics always make me happy. I will show you one other thing. What I've got on this again might be a review because I've started doing a manga channel. Well, manga series on this channel. And I got this new one that came out recently called Harayasumi, and it's a slice of life um, book. And I love manga that's slice of life. I love stuff like Mice and a Coco, one of my all-time favourite books, full stop. So I'm going to give this a read, and I'll give a review of this as well soon. Okay, bye. I love you. No, no, no. I don't know you that well. Bye. I thought I was talking to my daughter or somebody then. Anyway, I can't be bothered editing that out. But bye. Kind of like you. Take care. Speak to you soon.